When scaling a product development group, what artifacts do you need to create to convey what this group of teams is focusing on? What's in flight and what's upcoming? How do you ensure the right altitude of information, avoiding information overload, but also staying away from being overly vague? What can you do to balance between effective communication and a manageable artifact workload? Welcome to Agile Scaling Foundations with Barry Hawkins. Please be sure to like and subscribe. This video series is based on training that I've delivered over the years, both as a product development leader building teams internally and as a consultant helping clients scale their organizations. In this episode, I'll explain the two core artifacts that are central to scaling with team of teams. First, a note on being lightweight. Recall that with an agile approach to scaling product development, we seek to only add things that are necessary to fill gaps that we have. And when it comes to teams that are grouped in a team of teams unit, we are working to create connective tissue between strategic top level priority and team level backlogs and what they're working on. And so with team of teams, the two core artifacts that provide that are the portfolio backlog and portfolio roadmap. They're not the only artifacts that will exist, but they are the ones that are core to making the mechanics of team of teams function. The portfolio backlog is the work queue for a team of teams unit. Each team of teams has its own portfolio backlog, and that is a queue of prioritized high-level outcomes that are being owned and driven by this team of teams unit. The portfolio backlog is analogous to team backlogs in that the characteristics that make for a healthy team backlog also make for a healthy portfolio backlog. For example, in the prioritized work queue, items that are farther down are generally more vague and we know less about them because they're things we're just starting to entertain and explore. But as that item makes its way up the queue, we are iterating upon that item, gaining more clarity around the outcomes we're pursuing, the approaches we plan to take, and what the level of effort is going to look like across multiple teams to accomplish that outcome. The high-level outcomes contained in the portfolio backlog are most often referred to as initiatives. The development work for initiatives lives in the team-level backlogs, where the stories grouped into epics are most often found. This is an important distinction because we are determining the size of things through the input of the teams, not declaring top-down what we believe the size should be. The level of effort for a given initiative is a large part of what determines its priority. Only when we're looking at the outcome that we're hoping to achieve alongside the cost that it's going to be to make that happen, do we then have the full picture of what should help us decide whether this is an important thing to do right now. Usually a team of teams group will employ a t-shirt size heuristic to assign level of effort to initiatives because after all, these are very large outcomes that we know very little about in terms of concrete detail until we get close to execution. Therefore, using a small, medium, large, extra large type of approach tends to be a good fit for enough precision to talk about and differentiate roughly, but not false precision that someone then plugs into a Gantt chart for determining a release date. For example, a small might be something that we roughly frame as taking 3 development teams working on it for 6 weeks, whereas an extra large might be 8 teams working on it for 2 quarters. And of those 8 teams, 5 of them live in this team of teams group where the initiative is homed, and the other 3 are dependencies that live outside in other team of teams groups. Initiatives with dependencies across multiple team of teams units are typically homed in the team of teams where they have a center of gravity. That is, for the part of the product that this outcome is focused toward, it largely lives there. Or for the number of development teams who are going to be working on this, most of them or the largest number of them tend to be located here. And so that initiative is then homed with that team of teams. The portfolio roadmap represents the in-flight and upcoming portion of the portfolio backlog projected upon the canvas of execution over the current quarter and the upcoming one. The backlog as a linear queue does not convey which items are simultaneously in flight or slated to be executed simultaneously later. However, the portfolio roadmap was designed for just this purpose. Team of Teams uses a particular roadmap format with 4 lanes. One to identify the actual portfolio items or initiatives that are being worked on, another for its dependencies, a third for key market events and rhythms that we want to be sure and capture the timing of, and then lastly, technical architecture, where key investments in the health and well-being of our products and platforms are being clearly pointed out as important investments to be making. The roadmap's information is derived from the content of the portfolio backlog and the related team backlogs. That's an important distinction because, again, level of effort is determined by what the teams tell us, not by the rectangle that someone just simply drew on this diagram. It's key to note that comprehensive representation of everything that the team of teams is working on is not the goal of the portfolio roadmap. When this is done, you usually end up with very unreadable roadmaps that don't tell the story of where this team of teams is heading strategically with the product initiatives that it's undertaking. It's important to keep in mind that while the portfolio backlog and portfolio roadmap are the only 2 core artifacts at the team of teams level, they are very much dependent on a few team level artifacts, namely team backlogs, team roadmaps, and team development logs, because these are where we are getting the actual work, the actual development level outcomes that then go into the aggregate total of what goes into a given initiative, both in terms of the core work as well as dependencies. And there's a direct relationship between how healthy your team backlogs and roadmaps are and the quality and accuracy of your portfolio backlog and roadmap. Thanks for watching. Please be sure to like, subscribe, and click the notifications icon so that you'll be first to know when new Agile Scaling Foundations episodes and other product development videos are uploaded. Let me know in the comments what questions you have on this topic. It could shape the creation of future videos. For the next Agile Scaling Foundations episode, check out the video up here. And for the full Agile Scaling Foundations series, check out the playlist down here. Again, I'm Barry Hawkins. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.